Welcome to Lesson 9, folks. So this is the lineage class. This is the appointment to different positions and where you learned what and how, right? So I've talked about it before. I'm learning from Tony Robbins, who learned from Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn learned, I believe, from Napoleon Hill at the lineage of business, right? But it goes deeper than that. Who are you teaching? Who have you taught? Who did you learn it from? These are the most foundational sources of information that are the most reliable. Who's doing what? Why are they doing it? Where did they get that information? Where did they test that information? Is that information viable? Is it valid? Right? It creates tradition, it creates harmony in that tradition. And when it comes to like talking about this is both for my occult students and my business students, that in terms of lineage, without lineage, you've got nothing, right? Without knowing where your sources of information, what books you read, who inspired those books, what books were inspired by what authors, and all of the different things, right? These are really, really important tools that will help not only your students get other information, they'll get other sources of information. So if I don't have something that they need an answer to, I can say, hey, go read this book by Tony, or go read by John Acuff, or go read this book by Dan Fleischman. Like, you can do those things, right? But I can also say, go read The Liber Novis, the Red Book by Carl Jung, right? I can say, go read The Master Key by T.W. de Lawrence, right? Those are the lineages. Those are the appointments of position, right? Who's doing what? What role do they serve? What impact in the community did they make? Why is that impact important? Why is it important that you know that Napoleon Hill based his work on the Master Key, which I just referenced, by de Lawrence, right? He pulled out a few principles out of a book that's about that thick. Every single aspect of personality control, learning how to do memory retention exercises, all of the different things that go in depth at all of the very specific aspects of creating lineage, creating power, creating authority, creating the pleasing personality, right? So that people want to be around you, so that you can engage in a way that people want to watch, people want to experience, not just how you will fail, but how you will apply and show up and maintain your consistency and development, so that what you do lasts and has a lineage. And so who learns from you is by proxy learning from the people that you learned from. So you create a flow-through of information. Tangible, human, provable flow-through. Not, I'm just going to do unverifiable gnosis. I'm just going to pull this shit out of my ass, put it on camera and say, hey, this is this thing. No, my shit is proven. My shit comes from very specific sources, right? And I say shit because what you go in moves through your body system in the same way information moves through your actions, moves through your behaviors, and out comes shit at the end, right? It's all the things that are no longer used. It's the refuse, right? But in this case, what is the action that comes from what your body has processed? What is the physical material that's left over? Is it stinky gross, or is it a diamond? Is it something so beautiful that you have to tell people about it? You have to inspire a lineage of your own. You have to step up, and you have to start being able to take other people on a journey. And if you can take people on that journey, what is that journey you're taking them on? You know? And everybody can help. 21 different paths. 20 different applications of, I learned this from this person, I learned this for this reason. These reasons help you in this situation, but it only works in these situations. Because out of context, you don't understand. In the right kind of context, it becomes powerful. This is why secret societies, this is why mystical orders have closed traditions. Is because there's certain things that when taken out of context, people abuse. And so creating these outer layer conversations, these outer court discussions of lineage and who you learned and why you're learning and how you're learning become fundamental in the beginning process. This is why it's buried in lesson 9 and not up front, because I want you to understand that there's a mathematical framework that you can apply, but there's also a very specific lineage that this stuff is applied to. So that you can start to think about, okay, now not only do I have information that I'm sharing with people, not only am I giving these people this stuff, but now I'm creating impact in these people's lives that they need to have a place to interact with each other so that they can interact with each other in a safe sort of environment. So that through that environment, we can establish new traditions, new communications, so that we can refine what we're doing and that we can make these diamonds into rings. We can put those rings, or we can, if we're going to build a Swiss watch, there's all the complications inside, all the different pieces and parts and things that you have to stack together to get a watch keeping perfect time, balanced just so perfectly. Businesses are like that. There's all the complications of people interacting with it and your information in the wrong ways, or they're using the product to stuff it up their nose instead of up their butt. Like, again, adult story. So what you do, why you do it, matters. Where your information comes from and what kind of thing was done in the process, right? Holding that stewardship, holding that space, and understanding that the people that you're teaching need to go through that period of development. They need to understand the same kinds of lessons that you learned by who you were taught by. This is why I have no problem mentioning the Digital Product Suite, or Project Next Level, or Project Next, or the Mastermind World Summit, or Rise Up World, or Stage to Scale, or Advance Your Reach, or Crush It with Challenges, or 100X. Those are the lineages that I've been able to speak into that are following these kinds of frameworks, that have been able to teach back these things to the community, so that we can serve those people, and we have the means and the methodologies which are working and have worked for generations to teach oral traditions and oral histories through story, through methodologies, through frameworks, through spellcraft of the manipulation of your environment. And we don't have to be afraid of those words, because what we're not afraid of is the action that right words in the right context can say, so that you don't have to fear what you're doing. You can love what you're doing, and you have the compulsion to act on what you're doing and obsess over it and make sure that that client journey and those things that you're teaching are exactly congruent with who and what you stand for, so that no one is left behind unless they choose to be left behind, unless they choose to be inactive in those situations. That's where failure comes from. Quality is not equity. Equity is where it's at. Because if you have that depth and you have that change and you have those social structures and you can rapid create that kind of response, then you've got something that's beautiful. Then you have something that's absolutely out of this world, right? Because you're channeling something much bigger than yourself, and you're bringing it into something tangible, and you're relating it to tangible action. So again, what you will, what you desire, what you direct creates the action, and how it gets released is the application of that. What is your method of release in this case? Is it through a web video? Is it through a webinar? Is it through a communication strategy? Is it through an email system and then it leads into a phone call? Whatever it is. But make sure that whatever it is has a lineage that you stand by, that other people stand by. So it's not just you alone. It's an army of you and those like you that represent the kind of value system that you represent, so that what you deliver is congruent. And if you can do that, you can build a course that you can lead people with, so that you don't have to just be like, oh, I'm going to be here, I'm going to talk about this thing, and I don't know how I'm going to guide people through it. No, it's like, I learned this thing, it does this thing, it helps these people, and it's done this result. These are the kinds of conversations that you're able to have once you get these conversations down, once you get the ability to speak on this stuff in a way that provides experiential information in a delivery form through an oral lineage, through an oral tradition. And that's what we're doing. We are storytellers of the modern era. We are the fate changers. We hold people's fates in our hand when we teach a course. If we don't honor the ability to change their fate with the information that we have, and we fuck it off, we have failed them. We cannot fail in our mission. So we must stand, and we must have a lineage that supports these things. So this is why it's important to talk about your lineage. You don't have to talk about it every lesson, but you have to have lessons that include lessons you've learned from others, because that lends to your credibility. That gives them other sources of information that can either make them branch off in a new way, and they can grow in a different, beautiful direction, or they can lean harder into yours and ask you to teach these things in a darker, deeper path. You know, they're not understanding their darkness period. You need to get them into their light stage. How do you do that? How do you illuminate that period? Don't be afraid of these things. You know, these are what is viable. This is what is valuable. And these are the ritual actions we do time and time again to change the environment in accordance with our will. So, know your lineage. Be proud of your lineage. And if you're not proud of your lineage, find a way to be proud of what you've known. So, like, they don't have to know who I've learned what from. They just need to know I learned it. And it works, and it's tested, and it's being applied, you know? You can do it that way, too. But at least you have to do it, and you have to apply it. And this is how you can do and start doing that sort of thing. I'll see you in the next lesson. Thanks for watching.